Welcome to the Practiceology 7 Questions in 7 Minutes podcast. I'm your host, Paul Wright. In this podcast, we share the secrets of elite allied health business ownership and teach you the strategies, tactics, and mindset needed to grow a highly profitable and successful allied health business that works without you. If you'd like to work directly with the Practiceology team and receive personal coaching and mentoring to help you earn more, work less, and enjoy your life as a health business owner, visit mypracticeology.com to find out more and apply.
All right, in this episode, I'm joined by my old stager, Simon Bartold. Simon, how are you, champion?
I'm good, thanks, Paul. How are you going?
Mate, I'm great. I've hit you up for 1,000 things over the years, but I thought, well, I've got to get Bartold onto the podcast. I'm sure I can condense him down to 7 minutes, but I'm not sure.
Oh, it'll be a task, mate, but we'll give it a whirl.
All right, let's give Simon the introduction he deserves. He's a podiatrist who holds postgrad fellowships in sports podiatry with the Australian Academy of Podiatric Sports Medicine and in sports science with SportsMed Australia. He's been executive board member of the Australian Sports Medicine Federation, past president of the Australian Academy of Podiatric Sports Medicine. He is a big wig, Simon Bartold, in the world of biomechanics and podiatry. The website, bartoldclinical.com. It was born out of his massive repository of knowledge and resources, and it's become the most trusted online education resource for sports med and biomechanics. And his crowning glory, he was one of the featured speakers on our Podiatry Business Success Summit, which you can find at podiatrysummit.com. But now he's transcended to the absolute heights, and he's now on the 7 Minute podcast. Can you do it, Simon? Can you do it?
I can do it. You've taken 7 minutes up with all those long.
No, it doesn't start. The time doesn't start until we're ready. So we're ready to go. Your timer starts now. You right to go?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, we're away. Simon, who's your ideal client? Because I didn't mention Superfeet in the introduction, but who's your ideal client and what is Superfeet?
So Superfeet is a new type of over-the-counter orthotic device, which you can do all sorts of different things with. Fantastic contouring, fantastic arch height. You can grind it, you can glue it, do whatever you want. It is, I think, the best product on the market of its kind. Who's the ideal client? I think the ideal client is definitely podiatry and physiotherapy practices. Why do I think that? I think because this is a fantastic sell-in product for your patients that is going to help them. That's what we all want to do.
So question 2 then. So what's the problem you solve for practice owners with Superfeet? What's the problem?
Well, the problem we solve with Superfeet is basically we provide you with an ancillary income stream because it's a product. The product solves a problem. It solves a problem for the practice because you can sell it and you can code it. And it's a win-win for everybody, the practitioner and the patient.
Because you and I have talked about over the years, we've got to have a product range. You've got to be selling. You can't be trading time for dollars as a therapist, which we've talked about. So question 3 then, Simon, what are the typical symptoms that practice owners experience maybe when they haven't got something like Superfeet?
Financial strain. So I think one of the things here is that we're now entering a new era in practices where you really do have to have product to be able to sell. Superfeet's fantastic because you don't actually have to carry it. You can just order it and it will be in your practice the next day. So you don't have to have a gigantic warehouse to store it. But it's just a way, unless you want to work yourself to death by seeing patients, it's a way you can add on income very easily.
So what mistakes have you seen, Simon? A question for them. So what common mistakes people make maybe when they're trying to develop an ancillary income stream or using orthotics for that? What do they do wrong?
I think maybe it's choosing the wrong product. You really do want to have a brand that has a decent product line. Superfeet's very, very good because they have 7 or 8 different SKUs that you can use. So they've got special ones for footy, for example. They've got ones for running, for trail running, all sorts of different things. The mistakes they make, I think, are maybe also carrying stock. You shouldn't have to carry stock. It just takes up space and causes aggravation. So I think they're the boxes we tick.
And we talked about before we went live today, that it's not necessarily replacing, it's not actually an orthotic as such. From a podiatrist, it's interesting. It's not replacing a biomechanical medical device. It's a supplementation to the shoe. Is that how we're angling it?
Yeah, so we Superfeet talk about this type of device as being all about improving comfort. And Paul, one of the things we know is that comfort affects fit and fit affects performance. So if you can improve fit and comfort in a shoe, then you can improve performance. Certainly you can use it to treat some conditions, but Superfeet are very much looking at that whole improved comfort, because the insoles that are provided in running shoes in particular, the companies normally spend about 25 cents on those. They're literally the worst part of the shoe.
Love it. So about 3.5 minutes left. Question 5. So what's a valuable free action, Simon? What can our listeners do to get involved in some sort of product range or ancillary income? What can they do about it?
Well, I think firstly you got to do your research. So do your due diligence. I think figure out what it is you want and figure out what works for your practice. I think that this is particularly relevant to physiotherapists, because this whole concept of ancillary income is so important, because the only other way you can do it is to see lots and lots of patients every day, and eventually you'll wear your thumbs out, as we all know. So I think this is the attractive thing, that it's just a legitimate way of helping yourself with income, and also helping your client or your patient.
And I laughed about it in all my presentations. So I'm new to this. If I had my time again, I wouldn't be a physio. I'd be a podiatrist or an optometrist, just because of the product range involved. Question 6. So about 2.5 minutes left. What's a valuable free resource? I mean, how can they get involved, find out about it, reach out to you? What can they do?
Well, certainly one of the things you can do is log on to bartoldclinical.com. There's tons of free information there. Not so much in terms of Superfeet. We are actually building a brand new website right now, which will be live in October. It's called Clinical Kicks, and there'll be a lot of information on there. But right now, if you want some really good free information, get on to www.bartoldclinical.com and just go for a trawl through there, and you'll see that there's paid content. There's also a lot of free content as well. So have a look at that.
If they want to get involved in Superfeet, though, find out more about Superfeet, can they contact you directly until the website's up?
They absolutely can. Just email me on sbartold, sbartold @internode.on.net. And I will respond immediately, and I'll bring you up to date with all the pricing and wholesale price and what you can expect to sell it for.
What's the email? I'll put on the bottom of the show notes, but what's the email again to contact you?
sbartold @internode.on.net.
.on.net. Okay.
Yep.
Get involved, guys. I looked at the product. I love what they're doing. Anything that you increase, again, helping people be better at their performance and decreasing stress and pain, etc. Get involved. Question 7, Simon, about a minute to go. What's the one question I should have asked the great Simon Bartold, but didn't?
Oh, how can I possibly answer that?
In a minute.
In a minute, yeah. There are so many things we could be talking about. I mean, Paul, you know I love to talk about anything. So we could be talking about sport. We could be talking about fine wine. We could be talking about travel.
You've only got 45 seconds, minute. What is it? Quick.
The one thing you should have asked me.
What about the shoe thing? Tell me about that in a minute.
Vimasi, yeah. Vimasi is great. So I've also just taken on a distribution for Vimasi. It's also of great interest to physios and podiatrists. It's a vertical model. So this is what we call a pace-tuned shoe. So in other words, the shoe will be tuned depending on whether you're a weekend plotter or whether you're a sub-3-hour marathoner. So it's a vertical model rather than a horizontal model. And I personally love that concept. Vimasi, Vimasi.
Wow. And that's coming out. They're going to email you to find out more.
I have a shipment in the air as we speak, Paul. It will be landing any moment.
Oh, well, so I love talking to you, Simon, because you've always got something new. There's always something coming up that's great and new. So guys, get involved with Simon, reach out, find out about Superfeet. I love what he was doing with it. And this speed monitored shoe. Does that mean if I'm a plotter, I can get a fast shoe and I run faster?
No, it doesn't mean you'll run faster, but it means that you'll run with better shock attenuation and better stability than maybe you might in another shoe. So it's tuned to your pace.
Fair enough. Simon Bartold, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Practiceology 7 Questions in 7 Minutes podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate and leave a review, head over to iTunes. And if you'd like to increase your health business profits, reduce your personal work hours, and spend more time with your family and friends, you can find out more about the Practiceology Mentor Program at mypracticeology.com.